Were you nervous walking into the CBC today?
Not in the least, not least. To know your smiling faces at the end of the passageway, and it's always a good time, George.
Well, it is, you know, it is tough times here for sure.
CBC's seen worse times. Look, whenever people lose their jobs, or as I said to the president of the CBC on budget day, you know, I'm sure the CBC wished their budget was being increased by 10%, not being reduced by 10%. But CBC's seen tougher days. But I think that the talent that the CBC has and the way that you're going to be able to absorb these cuts over 3 years is going to, I don't think, at the end of the day, affect the quality of the programming that CBC has. And, you know, CBC has a lot to be proud of. I think in some of the recent changes that have been made, CBC Music has been a great addition. The programming has gone well. And I think CBC will be fine. It won't be easy, but I think the CBC will continue to do well.
Yeah, I think the big challenge is that a lot of people think that the CBC is just some corporation. It's not. It's CBC, it's jobs, it's people, right? And that when we lose X amount of dollars and X amount of productions, you're losing hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And that's what it is when there's cuts to any public broadcaster anywhere. It's people losing their jobs.
True, and that's always unfortunate. But you do know this. More than half the jobs that are going to be lost to the CBC over the coming few years, more than half of them were going to be cut, even if we didn't touch the budget of the CBC. These were plans that were being made internally in the CBC, regardless of the federal budget. You should know that. And second, you know, by also merging things. When I became Heritage Minister 4 years ago, the CBC had 8 unions. Today there are 5. By merging the talent and also finding the best talent and having them work across different platforms, I think the CBC has managed to find the best and have them, you know, have that talent be used on different shows and different platforms and in both official languages. I think that's an important barrier to break down.
Do you think about the idea that you, I mean, you are the minister, so you have to have, you're the public face, so you have to go out and then talk to some of these communities that feel like they got their funding cut in respect. How do you feel about, just on a human level, being that guy?
Well, look, you know, there's a saying as well that, you know, you ought to feel as equal compassion for those who are no longer getting funding as you also have to feel compassion for taxpayers who also have a sense that there needs to be a sense of reciprocity as well. That, you know, that cultural organizations also have, I think, an obligation to understand that because they've received government funding, they shouldn't always receive government funding. So, you know, we've made some decisions. I've made some decisions that, you know, some people don't agree with. But I just hope that at the end of the day, when I talk about my political career in a, you know, in the past context, that the people recognize that I, you know, have really tried to make sure communities understand that Stephen Harper and our government do believe in the value of arts and culture. We are trying to make decisions that are good for arts and culture. You know, we had, you know, the Canada Arts Coalition is a group of local artists, local, you know, people who have invested their heart and soul into their craft of the performing arts and music and theater and dance. And they came together and they came to Ottawa on their own dime, and came to Ottawa and said, we know the budget's coming up. You've just been elected in a majority situation. Here's what we would like to have in the budget. And their first request, number one ask of the government was, don't touch the Canada Council of the Arts. It's a brilliant organization, arm's length, peer-reviewed. They do a phenomenal job in protecting culture. I took that recommendation to the Prime Minister and to Jim Flaherty, and the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, said, we believe in the Canada Council. Let's protect that funding.